Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Test 16, translation. When, by mature understanding, one can realize his individuality, then the situation he accepts under false ego becomes manifest to him.
Devaho devacha purusham praktir brahman navyuma chate kahiche anyanyo pashyavat bhaksha nityatvat anayo prabhu.
Sri Devahuti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible?
Next 18. Yatha gandhasya bhyumascha nabhavo vyatirekrataha apam rasasya chayatha tatha buddhe parashyascha.
As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness.
Text 19. Akartu karma bandhu yam purusasya yadashraya guneshu satshu prakritehe kaivalyam tesva atakatham.
Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him?
Text 20. Kvachittatvavamarishena nirvikam bhayam kalbanam anivratha nimitat ratta punna pratyavatistate.
Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its course had not ceased.
Text 21. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Animita Nimitena Swadharmana Mahalatmana Trevaya Mahi Bhaktya Cha Shruta Sambhrataya Shiram.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me, and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction, and one will be freed from the contamination of matter.
Text 22. Jnanena trasva tattvena viragyena bhatsyasha tapoyuktena yogena trivennatma samadhina.
The devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption.
Text 23. Prakrute purusashesha Dhyatmana tava aharnisham Tiro bhavit त्रिसनखे अग्निर्योनिरिवारणैः
entities in a blazing fire. But by the process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks, which cause a fire, are themselves consumed by it.
Text 24. Bhakta Bhoga Parityata Drashta Dosha Chanistaya Saha Nishvarashya Shobandate Swamahini Stipashya Cha.
By discovering the faultiness of the desiring to lord it over material nature, and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory.
Text 25. Yatha Hekha Prati Buddhasya Prashvapo Bhuva Anartha Brut Sa Eva Prati Buddhasya Nave Mohaya Kalpate.
In the dreaming state, one's consciousness is almost covered, and one sees many inauspicious things. But when he is awakened and fully conscious, such inauspicious things cannot bewilder him.
26. Evam vidita tattvasya prakrutirmayamanasam yujjato napakuruta atmaramashya karhichet.
The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute, and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
27. Yadevam adhyatmaratah kalena bahu janmana sarvatra jatha vairagya abrahma bhuvanam munihi.
When a person thus engages in devotional service and self-realization for many, many years and births, he becomes completely reluctant to enjoy any of the material planets, even up to the highest planet, which is known as Brahmaloka. He becomes fully developed in consciousness.
Text 28 and 29. Mad bhakta prati buddhatto mad prasadena bhuhyasha niseyasham swasamstatnam kevalyakyam mad ashrayam. Prapnothashnashya dhiraha Swadharshya chinha samshayaha yadgatva na nivirteta yogi lignat vinirgame.
My devotee actually becomes self-realized by my unlimited causeless mercy. And thus, when freed from all doubts, he steadily progresses towards his desired abode, which is directly under the protection of my spiritual energy and unadulterated bliss. That is the ultimate perfectional goal of the living entity. After giving up the present material body, the mystic devotee goes to that transcendental abode and never comes back.
30. Yada no yogi paschistashochite मयशु सिद्धस्य विसाज्यते नग अनन्यहेतश्व अर्थमे गतेष्यद् आप्यनिद्धि यत्र नामृत्युः शः.
When a perfect yogi's attention is no longer attracted to the byproduct of mystic powers, which are manifestations of the external energy, his progress towards me becomes unlimited, and thus the power of death cannot overcome him. Hare Krishna. Please
Hare
forgive my any
Krishna.
mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nana Mataji and Vanita Mataji, for the very nice recitation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mok Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Naina Mataji and Vanita Mataji. So beautiful recitations. Okay, and thank you, dear devotees, for kindly joining this evening to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and giving this opportunity to speak few words. Okay, before we enter into Srimad Bhagavatam, we shall offer our Mangalachan prayers to our all Acharyas, Krishna and Vaishnavas, Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone. Om. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांशम्। हे कृष्ण करुणसिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृणुतं सकताः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्त्वह्य भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतां। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकीम्। एतेषां सकलाः पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रादिव्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितम् उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकधन्यं स्वस्तये नमः कृष्णे स्वदामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह खलु न श्रुषाम् एषा पुराणार्कोऽधिनोदितः कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये अति विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशम् इमं चिन्त्य दृढं पाण्डुषु विष्णुषु त्वयि मेनन्यविषया मधुरमधिपति असकृत् रतिमुद्वाह तदद्धगम्यवभूदन्वति श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सख विष्णुर्षभावनिधृग् राजन्यवंशदहनान् अपवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विजसुरात्यहरावतार योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते 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 तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गसङ्गस्य मत्यानां किमुताशशः पुनश्च भूयात् भगवत्यनन्ते रतिः प्रसङ्गः तदाश्रयेषु महस्तु यां यामुप्यामि सृष्टिं मैत्रसु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरत्विषे नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे बालोऽपि यदनुग्रहात् तरेणानमतग्राह व्याप्तं सिद्धान्तसागरं श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे यत्पादा श्रीविरितः सङ्गृणात् आकृतात् अज्ञः सिद्धान्तसन्मनीन् ॐ नमो भगवते राधा गोविन्दाय नमः हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण thank you so much for kindly waiting I shall share my screen okay Srimad Bhagavatam Srimad Bhagavatam Pibata Bhagavatam so it is so beautiful to hear Srimad Bhagavatam itself one must be very fortunate. Okay, so within that Srimad Bhagavatam, devotees who have been drinking Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam for so long. So we have been following the Srimad Bhagavatam third canto, 27th chapter for last few days. So this is the understanding of the material nature. So in the previous chapter, we have gone through fundamental principles of the material nature. How the universe has emanated, how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Virat Rupa, so existing within this universe and all demigods and the planetary system situated within the Lord. So that is the fundamental principles. After that, it is seeing the matter and the spirit. That is the main thing. So without the super soul assistance, even Virat Purusha cannot do anything. Okay, so that is the Chittam Chaityena Hridayaha. So Chaitya, the consciousness or the super soul. Without super soul, body cannot do anything. So that is the differentiating the matter and spirit. And in the next chapter, 27th chapter, so it is understanding the material nature. So now the living entities, once the universe got formed and then he enters into this universe, as soon as he takes birth here, he is now covered by the false ego. Sasajagri Andita Mishra Atita Mishra Adikrit. Adikrit Mahamoham cha Moham cha Ajnanuttayah Tamaha. So these are all material assigned engagements. So as soon as he takes birth, he is now captured. Yatropayatum upasarpati Deva Maya. As soon as he comes, Deva Maya will catch him. Okay, and then so one has to, by understanding the carefully understanding the material nature about the 24 elements plus the time factor and the spirit soul and the super soul. So one must be free from the matter. Likewise, Kapil Bhagavan has been explaining to Devhuti Mata. And Devhuti Mata, she is very intelligent, asking very, very beautiful questions. This is what, so from the 16th sloka here, Kapil Bhagavan stops explaining, and then he says, when by mature understanding one can realize his individuality, then the situation he accepts under false ego becomes manifest to him. Okay, this is where Kapil Bhagavan stops. Devhuti Mata's questions are very intelligent. So one must, many people might be asking, this is, even though they don't ask, their words, their speaking, their questionings, they involve these questions. Very subtly, these questions are implicitly existing in everyone's questions. So here, Devhuti Mata is asking, so purusham prakritihi brahman na vimuntyati karhichet अन्योन्य अपाश्रयत्वाच्च नित्यत्वादनयोः प्रभो. Nityatvadanayah Prabhu. So, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is there separation possible? So this is the first question. How is the separation possible? Because living entity means we cannot even imagine without a body how this living entity would exist. Sometimes even the material body got a gross body dies, and still subtle body would exist, mind, intelligence, and ego, and then waiting for another body. And then this question of Devhuti Mata is asking, even the subtle body, without subtle body, how can spirit soul would exist? So subtle body is also belongs to the material nature. So spirit soul means it must be having intelligence, it must be having mind, it must be having some kind of false ego as well. Okay, this is very intelligent question. And further question she is asking, giving analogy for her question, not only putting the question and also for Bhagavan to understand her conception. So because the smell cannot be separated from the object. So in the earth is the source of the smell. So likewise, how can a living entity would exist without the material nature? So likewise, yatha gandhasya bhumesha na bhava vitirekatah asam rasasya cha yatha tata buddhehe parasya cha tata buddhehe parasya cha. So as there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligent and consciousness. See how intelligent this question is. Okay, so there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. The second question, this is kind of an analogy she is put. And then further, next question is the अकत्वः कर्म बन्धोऽयं पुरुषस्य यद् आश्रयाः गुणेषु सत्सु प्रकृतेः गुणेषु सत्सु प्रकृतेः कैवल्यं तेषु अतः कथम्. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he mentions a living entity, though existing within the body, the source of all the energy within the body, and it nourishes, it gives energy to all the senses, prana shakti, kriya shakti, for everything. It gives energy as long as it is there. But it does not involve, but what we think the false ego, mind and intelligence. Mind is yat sankalpi kalpabhyam vartate kama sambhava, that is mind. And intelligence, smritihi nishchayaha, so whatever, whether I want to do it or not do it, such kind of decisions will be taken by the intelligence. False ego, it makes the living entity that you are the living entity. Your body itself is you. Likewise, that is the false ego. In such a way, those act. But actually, the spirit soul, it is nothing to do with all these things. It is a bhinna prakriti. This material body and mind, intelligence, ego, these are all bhinna prakriti. Spirit soul is different. It is no, and Krishna, he himself, na me karma phale spruha, namam karmani limpanti na me karma phale spruha. And whoever also understands that Krishna says, I have nothing to do with all this material nature and all this stuff. I have no desire to enjoy this material nature. And likewise, and also who understands Krishna, they will be also be freed from the material nature. So there is further. Again, here, question is, Devahuti Mata is asking, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Okay, this is another question. And the next question is so this is the today's shloka, which is to be covered 28 and 21. So this is the last question. So even the one may contemplate that he is not a body, he is spirit soul. Okay, so for time being, he understands by the mental speculations. But even though, as long as the cause is already there, it may appear again. Sometimes the fire is there, and then on top of the fire, so much of burning is happening, and some may try to put water on top of it, but still there may be some fire which is causing for entire. If even though we stop for the outside sake, it says that calm down, and but still the fire, it is very under it, under the some kind of substances, and then after some time it may come again. Likewise, the question, क्वचित् तत्त्व अवमर्शेन निवृत्तं भयमुल्बणम् अनिवृत्त निमित्तत्वात् पुनः प्रत्यवतिष्ठते पुनः pratyavatiष्ठते. Again, the living entity may come back into the material existence because the cause is still existing. So likewise, Devahuti Mata's questions are very, very important. So this is क्वचित्त्वत्व अवमर्शेन निवृत्तं भयमुल्बणम् अनिवृत्त निमित्तत्वात् पुनः प्रत्यवतिष्ठते. So translation, even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. Okay, this is the main thing, the cause. That is the existence of the material body. Okay, so purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, 727 states, Ichadve samuthena dhandva mohena bharata. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. One propensity is Icha, which means desire to lord it over material nature, or to be as great as the Supreme Lord. That is one of the cause. And everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. And Dvesha means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna or Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all and all? I am as good as Krishna. So these two items, desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord. Desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord. This is the two items, or the beginning cause of material bondage. This is the cause of the material bondage. As long as the philosopher, salvationist, or widist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains, and there is no question of his liberation. So sometimes we may see many people are doing many things. Some people may be coming to the even Krishna consciousness as well, but the cause is always there in the heart. And the cause is always in the heart. Okay? That is covered by so many other things. And then further Devhuti very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually as long as the cause exists, he is not free. As long as the cause exists, he is not free. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many births, when one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, then the fulfillment of his research in knowledge is actually achieved. There is a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Bhagavatam 10:14 says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवल बोधलब्धये क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवल बोधलब्धये. And this is only he is wasting, one wastes his valuable time. So the result of such a labor of love is simply labor. And there is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by the exhaustion. Only by the exhaustion. So the example is given that there is no benefit in husking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. So one has to nullify the cause, and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. So these questions are very intelligent. So Devhuti Mata put on behalf of everyone, even the scholars, the great scholars. Okay, so here, the dualities in this material world, Ichchadvesha Vihinena, Sarvatra Samachetasa, one must be Ichchadvesha Vihinena. Vihina means after Krishna speaking Bhagavad Gita entirely to Arjuna, at the end he says, Yete Chasi Tata Kuru. And he also mentions Tada Avrushena. So after properly deliberating all this knowledge, whatever I have spoken to you, Arjuna, Yete Chasi Tata Kuru. Yete Chasi Tata Kuru. Do what you desire, what you wanted to do. And then later on, Arjuna, after actually analyzing and understanding and everything, and Krishna finally, I will do whatever you says. So he comes to that understanding. I don't have much knowledge. And then he surrenders. Karishe vachanam tava. Likewise, Arjuna, he accepted to act according to Krishna's instructions. So here, the two kinds of propensities, this is dvandva mohena, the dualities. We see everywhere, if there is a good, there is a bad, there is a nice thing or not nice thing. Dharmam, adharmam, satyam, asatyam. Likewise, there are dualities and vadam, prativadam, arguments and counter arguments, like that. Of course, everything is the Lord's different energies. Sometimes we may be seeing, even the scholars also come together and they argue each other. That also different energies of the Lord. Different energies of the Lord. Both are coming into the Maya's influence. Both are coming into Maya's influence. Sometimes it covers them, sometimes it is not. Gopinath Acharya, whenever he speaks to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, he was mentioning this kind of quotes. And also Kapil Bhagwan also mentions. Okay. Okay, so here this is the one propensity is the Icha. Icha means desire to lord it over the material nature. But otherwise, because of these reasons, Icha and also enviousness. I wanted to lord it over material nature, like the Lord Krishna. And why only Lord Krishna? I also wanted to. So two kinds of nature. One is the desire and another one is the enviousness. For them, for this to fulfill those reasons, Krishna arranges this material world so that he will fulfill with complete full satisfaction according to his desire. According to his desire. नैतद् बतादीश पदं तवेक्षितं यन्मायनः तनुसे भूतसूक्ष्मम् अनुग्रहाय अस्तु अपि यर्हि माया लसतुलस्य भगवान् विलक्षितः. So Lord, it is not the desire of the Lord to create this material world and push the living entities into here. So this is again Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter. He also mentions Jiva Bhuta Mahabhaho Edam Dharite Jagat. These living entities, they come to this material world, but actually they're all my part and parcels. They are my part and parcels. So like Krishna, let me just bring that shloka in Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter. There is a very beautiful shloka. Edham dharite jagat. So apareyam itasvanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Jiva bhuta mahabhavo edham dharite jagat. So besides this, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material nature, that is inferior nature. Living entities belong to the superior nature, but they wanted to come down to the material world. They wanted to come down into inferior nature. This living entity, Lord has got Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetrajnakya Tatapara Avidya Karma Sanyaya Trutiya Shakti Rishyate. So three kinds of one is superior energy, inferior energy, and living entities are also, though they are belong to the superior energy, but they have tendency to fall down if they do not stick to the spiritual or stick to the devotional service to Krishna. They have a tendency to fall down. That's why they're also called marginal energy. Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. Okay, so this is what Krishna says here. And then coming back to the shloka here in the purport. So this is the two different items. One is the desire and another one is the envious nature. But anything, the Jaya and Vijaya from the Vaikuntha, when they were cursed by the four Kumaras. So during the time, they request Bhuya Dhagoni Bhagudvihi Akari Dhando. There they says Suraheranam Apyashesham, because of our insulting to your Kumaras, so we are being punished. Bhuya Dhagoni Bhagudvihi Akari Dhando. And then there says Mavon Tapakalia Bhagavad Smritigno, and we do not want to forget. It doesn't matter even though if we go down to the even the hell, but we wanted to remember the Supreme Lord. This is let me just it comes from Veda Bhase 15th chapter, 3rd canto 15th chapter. I think we have passed it through that one. It is very beautiful shloka as well. Why? Because even though we are either enviousness or having the desires, भूयादघो निभगद्भिः अकारिदण्डो योनौ हरेत सुरहेरणम् अप्यशेषम् मावोनुतापकलय भगत्स्मृतिघ्नो मोहो भवेदिह तु नौ व्रजितो अधो अधः. They say, after being cursed by the sages, the doorman said, it is quite apt that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you, but we pray that due to your compassion, at our repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us as we go progressively downward. So this is their desire. Even though enviousness, like the Kamsa, even the envious, he's always thinking of Krishna. And this Sispala and Dantavaktara, Ravanasura, Kumbhakarna, Hiranyakshipu, they were remembering the Lord. So likewise, this is Sambhrambha Sambrut Samadhi Anubodha Yoga, enviousness, devotional service in the enviousness. Again, devotional service again 3 times. Swabhav Guna Marghena, by the nature, One is devotional service in the mode of ignorance, and devotional service in the mode of passion, devotional service in the mode of goodness. Okay, so 3 levels according to the Swabhava Guna Margena Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, there are see in the 325 that shloka it comes. So there are 3. Margaihi bhamini bhavyate. Swabhava Guna Margena Pumsam Bhavo Vibhijyate. Pumsam Swabhavo Vibhijyate. By the nature of the person. So these are, one is it is the violence, dambha, and pride. This inclusive of I want to do this worship. Look at me, I am doing the devotional service. That is in the mode of ignorance. And mode of passion is I have desires, I wanted to fulfill desires, I need to worship. This is second level. And karma nirahara muddhisya. This is just coming as a matter of duty to free from this material entanglement. That kind of worship of devotional service in the mode of goodness. Okay, so here again coming back to here. So this is the enviousness. That is, enviousness is the sambhramba. And then further Prabhupada is describing, as long as the philosopher or salvationist or voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains. Cause remains. This is the main thing. It will again, sometimes we may see one person may be infected with a disease, but for time being, people, they try to apply some kind of medicines just to cover it off, and then, but the root cause still remains. It will come again after a few days. So likewise, this material, this is called Amayo Yashabhotanam Jaitaye Nasurita. Tadevihi Amayam Dravyam Na Punati Chikichitam, Narad Muni says. Because living entity is infected with a disease, that's why the disease in the sense like desire and enviousness. That's why it takes a birth. And whenever that cause is still here, engage that cause to the supreme, then it will, that cause turns into, instead of disease, it will turns into the medicine. Tadevihi amayam dravyam na punati chikichitam. So that's why devotion, use the body, all kinds of facilities to engage in the devotional service. Then this disease, this cause also will be removed. Then living entity will attain its the original form. Once it renounces the outer covering of gross body and subtle body, it remains in the pure spiritual form, the original Swarupa. That is the part and parcel of the Lord and eternal assistant of the Lord. And here, Devhuti very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by the knowledge, he has become freed, but actually, as long as the cause exists, he is not free. He is not free. This is again, that's why many yogis, they're always going into the secluded places, trying to meditate on the Supreme Lord. Bahujanma vipakvena samyag yoga samadhina drashtum yatinte yaha sunyagaresu yat padam. They go there and then meditate on the Supreme Lord. That is also 400 form of the Lord. They meditate, some yogis. So this is yogis in the who meditate in the Brahman light, yogis who meditate in the super soul. They are also go to the secluded place. And bhakti yogis, they stay. They are also sometimes we could see in the secluded places and sometimes in the society as well. But Krishna says, stay where you are and carry out your duties faithfully. Yajna dana karma natyajyam. And pavanani manishitam, pavanani manishinam, and it will even purify the great souls as well. So likewise, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavanamam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabaha. He become a Mahatma. Mahatma nastumam padha daivim prakriti masitaha. Daivim prakriti Radharani. Who takes shelter of Radharani, they will be attaining Krishna. So change the cause, engage that cause into devotional service. We came here into this material world to assist Krishna in his pastimes. And whoever is coming into Krishna, they will become, see themselves. They do not have to imitate someone else. Let them be as they are, but engage all of their activities, mind, intelligence, vachaha, kayaha, mano, everything. The words and mind and the activities, body, everything in the devotional service. In such a way, they can become part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. No need to become or imitate other devotee, imitate other one else. So they can stay as they are, engage everything in the devotional service. It is only specific to themselves, that living it, that is called Swarupa, his own nature. Okay. And then, but this is again many, but in the Chatashloki Bhagavad, the Lord says to Brahma, Etavadhyavijñāsam tatvijñāsunatmanaha anvai vitrikabhyam yasyat sarvatra sarvadha. After so much of research, at the end, finally he come to the conclusion that the Supreme Lord, he is Krishna only, is the final one, the final shelter. Vasudeva paragatihi. So likewise, he come to that understanding. Okay, so meanwhile, whatever after taking birth, and many people go to different kinds of material activities, come to the philosophies and arguments and everything, at the end they come to conclusion that Krishna is the Lord. And then before that, if we say that one, they put so many things. No one that much easily accept because of desire and enviousness, the cause. They have those things in the still deep rooted in the heart. And further, the Bhagavatam says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Klishyantaye kevala bodhalabdhaye. Just only, this is again, Shramayevihi kevalam. In the beginning of Bhagavatam itself, Shramayevihi kevalam. Klishyantaye kevala bodha labdhaye. Just only the such a labor of love is simply a labor. There is no other result. Giving the analogy that husking the skin of a rice. There is no rice, but there is no use husk. This is again, this is tapasvino dhanapara yasasvino manasvino mantravidah sumangalaha kshemam na vindanti vina kshemam na vindanti vina yadarpanam tasmai subhadrasravase namo namaha. Until one engages everything in tapasvina, dhanapara, yasasvina, manasvina, mantravidaha, sumangalaha, kshemam na vindanti. There is no auspiciousness for them, even though they have gone all these things. Vina yadarpanam, until they engage themselves in the devotional service. Sukadeva Goswami says, Tasmai subhadrasravase namo namaha. So that's why everything. Otherwise, if it is, there is no devotional service means from the skin of the grains, there is no rice, but only the skin is existing. So that is the analogy here. So by simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from the material bondage, but the cause still exists. So one has to nullify the cause and then the effect will be nullified. So whenever we purify the consciousness, yatapam prakritihi para, this is swachatvam avikaritam shantatvam iti chetasaha. And Ritubihi lakshanam proktam yatapam prakritihi para. When the rain falls and it touches the ground, whenever it touches ground, it gets polluted. And before that, it is pure. Likewise, the spirit soul, whenever it is pure, it knows that it is the servant of the Lord. As soon as it comes into the material world, we are already in this material world, everyone, starting from Brahma down to ant. And this universe is covered by the Saptavadrihi, the 7 layers. It is not possible to go out. If one is able to go out of this one, then he is freed. Yes, this is again, that is mentioned, Yad Brahma Nityam Virjam Sanatanam, Yad Brahma Nityam Virjam Sanatanam. And Shraddha Tapo Mangala Mauna Samyamaihi. one can experience those things. Shraddha, Topo, Mangala, Mauna, Samyamaihi. Okay, very beautiful things from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, one has to nullify the cause. And here, now, we are going to enter into the next sloka, how we can nullify that cause. So Bhagavan, in order to answer these intelligent questions, one must be expert. Like Sukadeva Goswami was mentioning, like he was ready to answer to any kind of questions that Parikshit Maharaj was saying. Okay, so here likewise, Bhagavan, he himself is answering all kinds of questions too. So starting from here, and then this is the last question by Devakoti Mata. And this is 27th chapter. And then further, the 28th chapter, all about devotional service, execution of devotional service. 29th chapter, completely devotional service. There also, Devakoti Mata asks just two different paths of a devotional service. Those were also been answered, and later on, the living unity, how and it appears and then entangled in this material world, and then his activities in another chapter. And later on, Devhudi's complete understanding. Later on, she offers her obeisances to Kapil Bhagavan. Kapil Bhagavan leaves home, and Devhuti attains liberation later on. Okay, that is the third canto up to end of this chapter, 33 chapter. So here Bhagavan is starting to answer. He says that one can freed from that cause by engaging himself seriously in the devotional service. That's why we see Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. It is Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. It is not simply just going to the temple and coming back. It is Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Number of times it is used. Krishna Tasma Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmaridhyacha. All the time and circumstances, in all places, one must remember me. Okay, that is what here Kapil Bhagavan is going to explain. Animitta nimitte Shri Bhagavan Uvacham. Animitta nimittena Swadharmena Amalatmana Tivrayamai Bhaktyacha Sruta Sambrutaya Chiram. See, Animitta nimittena. So this is without desiring the fruits of activities. Kapil Bhagavan is saying that Animitta nimittena. Once he goes to the Vaikuntha planet where Vasanti yatra purushaha sarve Vaikuntha murtayaha ye animitta nimittena dharmen aradayan harim. Dharmena aradayan harim. In the Vaikuntha Loka, they're all worshipping the Lord without any cause here. Animitta nimittena. That is Vaikuntha. Vasanti yatra purushaha sarve Vaikuntha murtayaha. And here, Swadharmena Amalatmana. In this while he is in this material role as well. Animita Nimittena, Swadharmena Amalatmana. In order to maintain his body, he has to carry out his duties as well. Swadharmena, by executing one's prescribed duties, Amalatmana, with a pure mind. With a pure mind. And Tivrena Mai Bhaktyacha, Tivraya Mai Bhaktyacha. And Tivraya is serious, my bhaktya, and devotional service unto me, bhaktyacha, and Sruta Sambrutaya Chiram, and hearing about the Lord, Sambrutaya, endowed with Chiram for a long time. Kapil Bhagavan also mentioning Chiram. When we meditate on the Lord and his beautiful form, we meditate Jhaya Chiram Bhagavataha Charanarabindam. One has to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time. So here, Sruta Sambrutaya Chiram, one has to hear Krishna and Krishna Katha. Whatever Krishna spoke and about Krishna, two kinds of Katha, Krishna Katha. Sruta Sambrutaya Chiram. So this is Lord Kapil Bhagavan says. Animitta nimittena sudharimena amalatmana tivarya mai bhakchacha sruta sambrutaya chiram. The translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me, and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me, By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Freed from the contamination of matter. So here, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, I shall read because of time. It's a long purport. Sridhar Swami comments in this connection that by association with material nature alone, one does not become conditioned. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with the police department, that does not mean that he is a criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal acts, even though there is a police department, he is not punished. Similarly, the liberated soul is not affected. Although he is in the material nature, even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is supposed to be in association with material nature when he descends, but he is not affected. One has to act in such a way that, in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with the water, it does not mix with the water. That is how one has to live, as described here by the personality of Godhead Kapiladeva. Animitta nimittena swadharmena amalatmana. This is amalatmana, completely pure, no desires in this material world. I have a duties, but duties should not come as interference in the devotional service as well. Devotional service is the yata bhakti. What is this one? Savai pumsam paro dharmo ito bhaktir adhokshaje ahituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. It should be ahituki apratihata. So here Prabhupada is mentioning about even the one comes to the material association, you should not entangle here. How it is possible? That is, ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तेन भक्तियुक्तेन चात्मन परिपस्थिति उदासीनं प्रकृतिं च हतभोजसम् ज्ञानवैराग्युक्तेन भक्तियोगेन चात्मना. Bhakti Yogena again, Jnana, Vairagya, Bhakti, these three. Then Paripasthiti Udasinam, Prakritim cha Hatha Vojasam. Vojasam is the influence of the material nature. Hatha means it would not apply its influence on a person who has equipped with Jnana, Vairagya and Bhakti. Kapila Bhagavan says, he had already said in the previous chapters. So that is how a living entity he will not be influenced by the material nature. Bhakti again, it goes, Asevayayam prakritir gunanam. Asevayayam prakritir gunanam. Jnanena vairagya vijrumbitena. Yogena mai arpitayacha bhaktya. Maham pratyagatmanam ihavarundhe. Again, another statement. Asevayayam. One should not serve the material nature. What is serving material nature means? This is my body and this is it is his body, it is my body. This is his house, it is my house. It is his husband, it is my husband. It is this her child, it is my child. And this is my wife, that is his wife. Likewise, there are so many things. So this is bodily conception. This is all bodily conception. One serves either through the words or through the mind or through the body. In such a way, everyone are serving the Maya. Everyone are serving Maya. So here, Asevayayam Prakritir Gunanam, one should not serve that kind of conceptions. And what is there in the everyone's body? It is the consciousness, the life force. That is Vasudeva Sati. But at the moment, they are also struggling because the three material modes, some people may be more influenced by ignorance, some are infected by passion, some are infected by goodness. So these are all, likewise, all living entities are entrapped. But everyone are a spirit soul only. When we are seeing those discrimination, then we are also entangled. When there is no discrimination, we see that living entity as he is. Again, the Lord Shiva also, Pratyadma Prishanaya Abhivadhanam Vidiyate Sadhu Mitaha Sumadhyame Pranyaihi Parasmai Purushaya Bhoise. Guhasaiva na dehamanine, Guhasaiva na dehamanine, not the body, only the soul we need to see. Okay, likewise, Lord Shiva says to Sati Devi. And here, even the Lord, that is Asevyayam Prakrutir Gunanam, when he just not serving the material nature, Mam Pratyagatmanam Iha Varunde, he will be, even he is called Jivad Mukta. He is called Mam Pratyagatmanam Iha Avarunde. He has already liberated. No more material desires. He will only serve the Lord. Yogena Mai Apitayacha Bhaktya Mam Pratyagatmanam Iha Varunde. That is the auspicious path for him. Okay, that is Kshemaya Padamulimi Pravishintya Kuto Bhayam. And the Lord again, whenever Krishna comes to this material world, at that time he is not influenced by this material nature. So, etad ishanamishasya prapustopi tadgunaihi naijite tada atmastaihi yada buddhihi tadashraya. Because Lord is self-satisfied Atmarama. Naijite sada atmastaihi. He is always internally satisfied. He is Atmaram. Yada buddhihi tadashraya. In such a way, living entity, whoever is taking shelter of the Lord, he is also not influenced by three material modes of nature. Yata buddhihi tadashraya. That is the devotees. They're all devotees are all titikshaya and tidikshaya tapasa cha vidhya cha dedipyamani ajita devatanam. They're all powerful. Dedipyamani ajita devatanam. Likewise, who says Prithu Maharaj says to all his subjects. So they're also not influenced by the material nature. So here one has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by the contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with water, it does not mix with the water. This is Padma Patram Iva Ambhasa. Padma Patram Iva Ambhasa. So Krishna says, it's a very beautiful analogy. And then further Prabhupada is describing one can be liberated from all adverse circumstances simply by seriously engaging in devotional service. How this devotional service develops and becomes mature is explained here. In the beginning, one has to perform his prescribed duties. And with a clean mind, clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. One has to perform his prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. There is no necessity of changing one's prescribed duties. See here, the Prabhupada is mentioning no need of imitating someone's. One can carry out his activities. Stanisitaha Sutivan. That a beautiful shloka is there. Manovachaha Kaya, that is mind, words, and intelligence. Mind, words, and then body. Then ye prayaso ajita jitopyasi taistrilokyam, then he can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one does not have to imitate someone's activities. And one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness. This is purifying our activities, engaging them. Yat karoshi, yat dasnas, yat juhosi dadasi, yat tapasvasi kaunteya kurushva madarpanam. O Arjuna, engage, offer everything onto me. That is called purifying his activities. In discharging Krishna conscious duties, one should determine whether by his professional or occupational duties. And Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is satisfied just by discharging his duties. And then in another place in the Bhagavatam, it is said, Sunistasya dharmasya samsiddhir haridoshanam. Again, the Sutta Goswami says, Atah pumbid vyasreshta varnashrama vibhagashaha swanishtasya dharmasya samsiddhir haridoshanam. Everything only to please the Lord. These varnashrama dharmas, they have been split into 4 varnas, 4 ashramas. Again, there are in each and every category, brahmacharyam, 4 levels, and In the Grihastham 4 levels, Vanaprastham 4 levels, and Sannyasam 4 levels. In the Grihastha also, there are Vata, Sanchaya, Salina, and Siloncha, 4 levels in the Grihastha. 4 levels in the Brahmacharya is the Brahmacharyam, Savitram, Prajapatyam, Brahmam, Ata, Bruhattada, 4 levels in the Brahmacharya. And similarly, Vanaprastham. There, Vaikanasa, Valakilja, Audhumbara, Penapa, 4 levels. And the Sannyasa, 4 levels again. There are Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parirajaka, Paramahamsa, the 4 levels. This is simple living. Everything is only for Haritoshanam. Haritoshanam. By perfection of such duties will be reached only if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is satisfied by such actions. Okay, this is throughout life. If we have got 100 years, 100 years we have got, this is the 4 levels of Brahmacharya, everything is properly structured. There is no chance for fall down if he is following. This is Yanahu Brahmavadinaha. Prithvi Maharaj says, this is how one has to carry out his activities. For example, Arjuna's prescriptivity was to fight, and the perfection of his fighting was tested by the satisfaction of Krishna. And Krishna wanted him to fight. When he fought for the satisfaction of the Lord, that was the perfection of his professional devotional duty. On the other hand, when contrary to the wish of Krishna, he was not willing to fight. That was imperfect. So there are again analogies. If anyone tries to do as per the desire of Krishna, sometimes in the Kurukshetra battle, when Krishna asked Yudhishthira to go and say to Dronacharya that Ashwadhama is killed, but Yudhishthira a little bit of hesitant during that time. But whereas, even though Vasudeva, the father of Krishna, he has promised to come so that I will give all the children to you. But whenever it comes to the Krishna's turn, he did not fulfill that promise. Krishna appreciated Vasudeva during that time. So that is the beauty of it. So for Krishna's sake, we can go beyond anything. That is the perfection. Okay, again, we can see so many of Vrindavan pastimes. Okay, so this is here just for the satisfaction of Krishna. Sometimes you may think that I am following rules and regulations perfectly, so they may give more importance to dharma. But here, dharma sunishita pumsam visvaksena katasuyaha notpada yeti retim shamayevihi kevalam. Even the one is following all dharma perfectly, then it is, if it does not come to Krishna, then shamayevihi kevalam. Okay, likewise, there are a few other things also. Narada Muni also mentions in the first canto, 5th chapter, where even the one carries out duties perfectly throughout his life, and if he is not coming to Krishna consciousness, it is like a waste of all the labor. But on the other hand, even though he is not performing his duties correctly, and if he is Krishna consciousness, then he has already achieved the ultimate destination. Likewise, Narada Muni says to Vyasadeva. Okay, so and then if one wants to perfect his life, he should discharge his prescribed duties for satisfaction of Krishna. So one must act in Krishna consciousness. For such action will never produce any reaction. Animitta nimittena. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Yajnadat karmano anyatra karma bandhanat. One should perform yajna karma yajnadhat for the sake of yajna. This is again Prithvi Maharaj. Ati yajnapati nama keshamchid arhasattamaha. There is a Lord Yajnapati. Because of that, all his duties and iha mutracha lakshante josnavachyaha kvachit bhavaha. How can one person take birth in the rich family and Brahmana's family? Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brusto Abhichayate. And whereas other person is taking birth in different families, poverty-stricken, going through strugglings and many other things. How can? Keshamchid arhasattamaha. How can it is possible? Iha mutracha lakshante josnavachyaha kvachit bhuvaha. Prithu Maharaj says to his subjects and all the in front of Pitru Deva Rishio Amalaha, in front of sages, people, and Pitrus and Deva, demigods. So there is a Yajnapati. We have to perform activities. Yajnadat karmano, anyatra karma bandhana. All activities should be performed simply for yajna or the satisfaction of Vishnu. Otherwise, without satisfaction of Vishnu or yajna, produces bondage. Anyatra karma bandhana. So here it is also prescribed by Kapila Muni that one can transcend material entanglement by acting in Krishna consciousness. This is adokchadiha kurta adhokchadiha tarhime anugraha kritaha. So here Prith Maharaj here says tat praja bhatrupindardham swadhameva anusuyavaha swadhameva anusuyavaha. You have to carry out your duties for your sake and for your king's sake. And how you need to do? Kurata adokchadiha in Krishna consciousness. Tarhime anugraha kritaha. By that Lord will be pleased with you and he will fulfill all of your desires. That is free from the bondage. And here, that which means seriously engaging in the devotionals. Tevraya mai bhakchacha. Tevraya mai bhakchacha. This serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. Long periods of time. Just for example, like Swayambhumanu, Sayevam Swantarvinye Yuganam Ek Saptatim. Vasudeva Prasangena Paribhuta Gatitrayaha. He has spent 71 yuga cycles by hearing Vasudeva Prasangena Paribhuta Gatitrayaha. All the Trayaha, this Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Adhyatmik, all the Tapatriyas, Gata, they did not influence Swayambhumanu for 71 yuga cycles. See, look at how he has spent. This is called Pratibhusheshu Anubadhyana Hrudashurun Harehe Kataha. He used to hear Hari Katha every day morning. How? Saprajaha, Sabariha, Saprajaha Kaman, Bhubujya, Anya, Aviroditaha, Sangiman, Satkitihi, Sastribihi, Suragayakaihi, Pratibhusheshu Anubadhyana Hrudashurun Harehe Kataha. Every day, morning he used to hear Hari Katha for a very long 71 yuga cycles. It is not 71 days or 7 days of Bhagavad Saptaha. It is Nityam. It is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So one has to hear this for a long periods of time. It is not 7 days. Sometimes Bhagavad Saptaha and then after everyone come to the 7 days course and then after it is finished and then they again engage themselves in the materialistic activities. But it is not that. Tasma sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmarijja nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. So here, chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with the devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearance, activities, disappearance, instructions, etc. This is all embedded within the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So again, there are two kinds of Shruti or scripture. One is spoken by the Lord and the other is spoken about the Lord and his devotees. That is, Bhagavad Gita is the former and Srimad Bhagavatam is the later. Lord spoke Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about Krishna. And one must hear these scriptures repeatedly from reliable sources in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Through engagement in such devotional service, one becomes freed from the contamination of Maya. Contamination of Maya. So it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that is, Pibanti Bhagavata Atmana Satam Katamrutam Sravanaputesh Samrutam Punanti te Visha Vidushutasayam Rajanti Tacharana Saruruhantikam. Sukadeva Goswami says, one keep on hearing this one. Punanti te Visha Vidushutasayam. He'll be freed from all the Vishaya Vidushasayam. No more. So, Vrajanti Tacharana Saruruhantikam. Then he will engage himself onto the lotus feet of the Lord. Vrajanti Tacharana. He will move on to the lotus feet of the Lord. Then, Dhautatma Purushaha Krishna Pada Moolam Namunchati. He would not leave the lotus feet of the Lord. that is, one would be freed from the contamination of mind. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contamination caused by the influence of three modes of material nature. This is Mamchayo Abhisharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatitechan Brahma Bhoyaya Kalpate. In the 14th chapter, Krishna says, whenever Arjuna asks, Kailingan Trin Gunan Atin, how can one can cross these three material modes of nature? Then Krishna says, Mamchayo Abhisharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatitechan Brahma Bhoyaya Kalpate. He can cross by engaging himself in the devotional service. By continuous regular hearing and effects of the contamination of lust and greed to enjoy or lord it over material nature diminish. Lord it over material nature diminish. So this is another question Devhuti Mat asks later on. My dear Lord, you have explained everything to me. Now please describe all those things about the living entity. I wanted to hear, by knowing those things, how the living entity suffers. I think it is the 29th chapter before Kapil Bhagavan describes. It's a very beautiful question. It is very compassionate. Prabhupada says with that mood is very, very in the 29th chapter. So Devhuti Mat asks, so here, she asked this question. This is a very beautiful question. Compassionate. Maya Mahanvi. So, my dear Lord, you are just like the sun, for you illuminate the darkness of conditional life, the living in, because their eyes of knowledge are not open. They are sleeping eternally in the darkness without your shelter, and therefore they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of material nature and appear to be very fatigued. This is further. And another question, she asked that question. Yes, this is the one. So, Maitreya Muni says, Iti matur vachahash lakshnam pratinanja mahamunihi abhabase kurasreshta pritastam karunadvitaha. O best among Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by the great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows. So he moved because she is asking the questions, how can these living entities be freed? So this is very nicely asking, and Kapil Bhagavan is going to answer those things. Bhakti yoga bahuvido margaihi bhamini bhavite subhavagana marghena pumsam bhavivite. Likewise, he further asked, she wanted to detach herself from the material world by hearing the pains of the living entities in this material world. She wanted to hear pains of the living entities, how they suffer. So that is, Kapil Bhagavan was moved by those questions. So here, whenever we are hearing those things, one side we hear the pains of the living entities, and other side we hear Krishna Katha, how it would free oneself from the tapatraya, tapatri unmulanam. So this here, Lord, it over material nature that would diminish. When the lust and greed diminish, one then becomes situated in the mode of goodness. This is the stage of Brahman realization. Brahmabhutah prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu, then mad bhaktim labhate param. Then he would, that is Brahmabhutah prasanna, Brahman realization or spiritual realization. In this way, one becomes fixed on the transcendental platform. Remaining fixed on the transcendental platform is liberation from the material entanglement. So this is where what Kapil Bhagavan speaking. So just giving a little bit of the next two shlokas, we're not going in here. There is a very beautiful, the Arani. People might have heard about Arani, the wooden tool, how they, using the wooden tool, they will lit the fire. And that fire is used for performing the sacrifices. They do not use matchboxes or stuff like that, or lighters like that. They use the two wooden tools, and they will churn the wooden tool. The fire will come out. That fire is used to perform the yajnas and sacrifices. Here, see, look at this. People are churning this tool. The one people are, it is holding by the threads by people one side, other side, and then and the person he is putting some pressure and churning it. By this, the fire emanates. Whenever it is churning too much, the fire will come, even it will burn this arani as well. It will burn arani as well. So later on here, why I'm showing here, because Kapil Bhagavan describes Jnanena Drishtvatattvena Vairagyena Bhaliyata Tapoyuktena Yogena Tivrena Atma Samadhina. Tivrena Atma Samadhina. In the next sloka, he mentions Prakriti Purushasyeha Dahyamana Aharnisham Tiro Bhavitri Sanakaihi Agnyar Ivaranehi. Agnyar Ivaranehi. Arani is mentioned, wooden sticks. The influence of material nature has covered the living entity, and thus it is as if the living entity were always in the blazing fire, but the process of seriously discharging devotional service, this influence can be removed, just as wooden sticks which cause a fire are themselves consumed by it. The wood is prone to be destroyed by the fire itself. It will also burn. When it will generate the fire will burn the wooden tool. Likewise, using whenever we have got soul within our body, engage the soul for performing devotional service, then this gross body, subtle body, both will be digested. So there, as fire remains there, likewise, just a pure soul will remain. That's why here, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. So again, the Akama Sarvakamo Moksha Kama Udharadihi. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. That's why one has to perform devotional service Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, very seriously. Okay, likewise, Kapil Bhagavan is mentioning it is so beautiful shlokas, lots of philosophy in this. So with this one, I stop there. One has to carry out. Animitta nimittena swadharmena amalakmana tivrayamai bhaktyata sutta sambrutayachiram. Sutta sambrutayachiram, one has to hear from the devotees. Devotees are all they are sauganjalubdha hridayeshu krita prasangaha. Their hearts are blossoming with the beauty of this Krishna Katha. Sauganjalubdha hridayeshu krita prasangaha. They speak only Krishna Katha. Okay, so I stop there. I request dear devotees, if you have got any questions or you wanted to share anything or any comments, kindly ask or kindly share comments or kindly reflect. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Sorry, thank you. It's such a beautiful chapter, and you spend so much time doing your so much utmost best to relay this message to us. I have a question. I'm not sure. There is, I think, in the second verse today, second paragraph, I think it was, there was a mention of Hari would be pleased or Hari is pleased.
Yes.
There was something. Hari is satisfied by such actions. Here in this, so further down from Bhagavatam, here it's the same paragraph here. The last fourth line from the last. Hari is satisfied by such actions. The fourth line from bottom of the second paragraph. Somewhere there. Yeah. So beginning of that line. Hari is satisfied by such actions. I wanted to know how does one know whether Hari is satisfied or not satisfied. How can we tell? Like what?
So here, how Lord is satisfied, we would feel, because when I'm hungry, when I eat it, then it is called self-satisfaction, whether I'm fulfilled or not. But uh, whether I have quenched my thirst, whether I have quenched my hunger, I feel this is internal. It is not that opposite person is going to decide whether you are a pure devotee or not, whether you are not a devotee or something else. It is not subject to the opposite person. It is only internal. It is self journey within the heart. It is when how I need to reflect is I am carrying out my duties without any motivation. Without any motivation. Ahituki apritihata. There is no reason. There is no reason for my personal, my bodily, my money, or my fame. Janma Aishwarya Sri Yedamana Madakuman Naivaharati Abhidatum by Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Not even for the sake of famous, not for the show offs, not for fame, all this stuff, not for monetary gains. It is only for the pleasure of Krishna. Then that is why I am doing it. Even though it doesn't matter, it does not depend on the bodily condition also. I have to do it. It is for the sake of, for the pleasure of Krishna. Body automatically carries out those activities. So because though there is no personal gains, personally, at the end, what you have done, no fame, there is no money, there is no these are all comes into the picture. So this is for not we are doing it is for the pleasure of Krishna. Then automatically one understands that okay, it is not for myself, it is only for Krishna's sake. So that it is self reflections, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please can accept my humble obeisances. Oh, go to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. As Jai Mataji said, you go deep down in the verses and explain nicely to us. I would like to add a little bit to the question of Jai Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, please. Yes, yes.
So it's like, someday we wake up and we do all our sadhana, right? We chant, we do our puja at home, we wake up the Lord, we praise the Lord, we offer whatever we have to offer, and we do our prarthanas and all, arti and all. And we do not feel satisfied. Someday we feel so satisfied that we just want to sit there, admire Tushi Maharani or admire the Lord, just sit there. Even if you have to go to work, even if we have responsibility, family responsibility, we just want to sit there and look at the Lord. We feel satisfied ourselves, right? So it doesn't mean that, as we said, somebody from outside will come and tell us that, oh, you're satisfied today, or your hunger is satiated. No. So some days it does happen. We don't feel satisfied. Then we try to make up, okay, what was missing? What did I do wrong? Why I was like that? Was I too tired to carry out my duty, or somebody need to boost me up or something like that? So this is a feeling from inside, Mataji. You will get that feeling. It will take time. As you said, you just started your sadhana, your spiritual path, but it will take time. You will feel that fulfillment inside yourself. Hare Krishna. I hope it helps, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, I understand. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So that's why it's a very beautiful shloka. So would you like to recite this shloka, Mataji? What is that? Well, let me just do it. Would you like to recite this one?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'll try, Prabhuji. Shri Bhagavana Uvacha Yogasya Lakshanam Vakshe Sabijasya Nrupatmaja Maje Mano Yenaiva Vidhina Prasannam Yati Satpatham. Shall I read the translation as well? Okay. The personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, O daughter of the king, now I shall explain to you the system of yoga, the object of which is to concentrate the mind. By practicing this system, one can become joyful and progressively advance towards the path of the absolute truth." Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Mataji. So this is the prasannam yati satpadam. Mano enaiva vidhina prasannam yati. Completely satisfied. Again, this is Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Katayanta Shamam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanti Cham Parasparanu Katanam Pavanam Bhagavadyashaha Mitoratihi Mitotustihi Nivrittihi Mitatmanaha. It is complete satisfaction comes just by hearing. Krishna says that one. When devotees again, Yo anyunita bhagavataha prasajja sabhajayante mama paurushani. Kapil Bhagavan says that one. The beauty when we see Krishna. Tai darshni avayvaihi udhara ha vilasa hasekshita vama suktaihi pratatmano prata pranam bhaktihi pratatmano prata pranam bhaktihi anichito me gatim anvayam prayumte. So looking at Krishna's beautiful face and his words and Bhagavatam about him, so many things. That is how one will be completely satisfied. Though we might see sometimes the world news and BBC news, something like that. One may be so much distressed. And by looking at that, we don't achieve anything. It is simply stop. Just I was also just trying for a couple of days. Why these people unnecessary fighting each other, killing each other for no reason? Just when it is going to be stopped, at least thinking how we can help them. It is useless to see. They're completely stopping them. All useless people speaking. It is all politics. It doesn't useful to anyone at all. It just only disturb only the mind. It does not do anything. It will only disturb. If prices are increased, there is no other option for us. We have to pay. By looking at that, it is not that we are going to be reducing. So all new things, it is only disturbances. So here, when we do not see such kind of, this is called Srutva Asadgraha. Shrinvanti Asadgraha. Purishima Vidbhujaha. Again, they're all like they're compared, all these BBC news, all this news, they're all like a stool. They're like a stool. People, it is for only Tadvashvidham Mushin Naitrahamsa Nirmanti Usakshayaha. Only the crows take pleasure in such kind of news is talking about so many things are there. But that does not help how it does not help how people become peaceful in their lives. Prasannam Yati Satpadam. So that's why we have got a devotees association, we have got a Krishna Katha, and we have got nice prasadam, nice kirtans, nice dance. This is complete in full, and we have got beautiful form of the Lord and Radha and Krishna, Radha Gokulananda. So they are very beautiful to see them. So that gives the pleasure to, that is called Prasannam Yati Satpadam. Prasannam Yati Satpadam. Hare Krishna. Any other questions, dear devotees?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So wonderful. I just wanted to say it was a wonderful class, Prabhuji. That's all. You have explained how devotional service is so important, and now that's what. Yeah. Other than that, now everything else is like a waste of time. Just the wheat husk, the husks only we are just doing. That was very beautifully explained, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Mataji. Jnane prayas udapasya namanta eva jivantu shanmukritam bhavadiyavatam. When we have to mold our life in such a way that bhavadiyavatam, to hear Krishna Katha, then that is how Lord will be conquered. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for this wonderful class.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Okay, so if there are no further questions, then we shall conclude our session for tonight. Okay, Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta
Vishnu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna,
for
Prabhuji,
the
thank you
class.
so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Babaji.
Hare Krishna.